So this last week in my criminal minds course, we went over juvenile justice. The juvenile justice system, what's effective, what's not, etc., etc. And then, as you know, in most classes, every week, there's that discussion question, and I know they're annoying, but they get us to talk to each other and to converse with each other so that we're critically thinking, so that we're seeing where other people are coming from, seeing what their viewpoints on things are, and able to curate our mindset on certain topics and work on gaining the ability to think for ourselves. Now, within this course this week, we had to watch a YouTube video going over a case, and within this case was the experience from journalists and media. There was the speak of this person themselves, what it is that they did, how they felt about what they did, and just the overall overarching details of the case. And then we had to pretend like we were the judge and make a decision on how we would rule regarding this specific case. Now, a couple details, I won't go too far into it because it was like a 10-minute video, but he was a 17-year-old kid. He murdered 5 people across state lines. One of the themes of the course this week was talking about how rehabilitation needs to be the focus in juvenile justice and throughout the whole justice system. Because all the justice system, with incarceration being the focus, is further damaging both our communities, our society. It damages everything. Because the rates of recidivism are so high. And what recidivism is when a person goes to reoffend, their likelihood to reoffend within the community. Now, it is seen amongst juveniles specifically that there is the boys will be boys mentality, in which a lot of parents just kind of throw their hands up in the air and they don't know what to do with them because they're acting out, they're being rebellious. They want to do their own thing, and parents don't really seem to know what to do because they didn't teach them coping mechanisms when they were younger. Maybe they didn't even have the time. I'm not going to completely blame the parents here, because it's not just in relation to that. But what happened with this young boy is that his brain was not fully developed. And so he found himself in a situation where he was indoctrinated and endorsed into this cult-like community in which he was taught to be violent. He was taught to go and do these things, and he got the that he people with from this older man. And what the judge did was sentence him to an adult prison. And what is seen with these men, if you've ever seen Scared Straight, okay, we're going to think of it from that point of view, right? These kids go in, and we have seen that these programs don't work. All they do is scare the hell out of these kids, traumatize them, and then they cause further harm to the communities because they feel like that's their only option. They feel like they've been labeled as this criminal, as this awful person, so they go and do those criminal or awful acts. This is the behind the scenes of what Black women have been talking about for a really long time regarding how important community is. Because it's seen within those Black kids that have those really strong ties to community, they are less likely, and good community, healthy community, they are less likely to do the things that they've been shown prior. Because a lot of these people, when you look at the overall overarching picture of it, it's all they know. They feel like they've been backed into a corner. So the most effective thing that we have seen is multi-systemic therapies for these children, and it involves parents and teachers being involved. It involves them getting in touch with members of community. Did you know that the Boy Scouts in America and Girl Scouts of America are essentially there to prevent youth crime? After school activities? Because the likelihood, the risk factor, a risk factor is an attribute that could cause a person to commit a crime, specifically in this scenario. So studies have shown that after a school day, immediately following the hours of school, is the period of time in which most youth commit crime. So these systems are in place to not only keep the children busy, but to give them a sense of community and just overall help develop a child's skills, patterns, behaviors, etc., etc., etc. And what is seen with youth when they go into the adult justice system is they end up having to act a certain way. So the juvenile justice system is mostly focused on rehabilitation. The adult justice system is focused on punishment. And a commonality that we see within these prisons, jails, institutions is gangs, or having to act a certain way, or the separation, divide of people. So they feel like they have to act tougher than they are. And the cycle continues. Because more often than not, they're not putting funding towards mental health resources in prisons, not good ones, education, schooling, job training, things that are going to teach them to be a productive member of society. Instead, the help is taken away. A lot of people feel like they have no outside connection. They lose access to their community. So when they get let out, they don't know what to do with themselves. They're in a place that they feel like they're not ready for. So how would they do better when they don't know better, when they're not taught better? The system is set up to enforce reoffenses. And yes, people do make it out, people do get better. But you notice how there's a correlation between someone getting older and getting jobs and building family and building connections and learning. There's almost a steep drop off at the age of 40 for the likelihood to commit a crime. And it's not a coincidence.